So welcome to Google Data Studio Session 3. In this session, we're going to go through and look at creating blended data. Once again, we're going to use the original data that we downloaded, and we're going to combine items to make new data sources. So let's take a look. So going over to my workshop report right now, all I see is my bar chart that I created and my table. Remember last one we did some calculated fields. So now we're going to go and we want to add some additional information to this. We want to add some assessment data to our students. So let's go take a look and see how we would do that. So first I'm going to go to resources and manage added data sources because this is another data source that we need to add. So let's go to add a data source. And once again, we're just working in Sheets right now. So we're going to go find Sheets. And again, this is all the different kinds of data sources you could use in Google Data Studio. This happens to be in the same sheet, but it's in a different tab. So I have a math assessment and I have an ELA assessment. So I'm going to work with my math assessment for now. I'm going to give it a name. For my data source, math assessment. Make sure I've selected the right fields and then press connect. So you'll see that in my math assessment, I have a user ID, a first name, a last name, and a level, which is basically the data of how well the student did on the particular assessment. So I'm going to go into my worksheet now, my workshop, excuse me. We'll add that to our report. And now having it here, I don't have it available to me unless I create another chart, but I want to combine the demographics and the math assessment. So in order to do that, we're going to do what's called blend data. So we're going to go to this choice called blend data here. We don't really need the video. I'm just going to get started. You can go back to that at some point if you want to. And we already have our demographics file here. So then we're going to add another data source. And we have math assessment as our other data source. And the first thing it does is ask you, what do you want to join on? In other words, what fields are unique to the two files that you can share so that you can see the students? So we're going to look through here, and we're going to use the user ID. And this file also has the user ID. So we're going to join on the user ID. Those are what are called key fields. So they're unique in each file. And a student only has one user ID, like their LACID or their SACID. And then you can specify which fields you want to include in your blend. So here you could again take all your fields that you want. I want to know their 504 status. I want their first name. I want their last name, grade level, maybe their gender, and so on. So here you select all the dimensions that you want to include, and you do the same thing here. Now here I have first and last name again. I don't need them because I'm already including them from my demographics file. I'm just going to take the level. Okay. And then having done that, I'm going to save my blend, give it a name, and we're going to call this demographics plus assessment. And we're going to save that. And we're going to close. And you can see it's already changing how some of my data looks because that's my primary data right now. But you can see, let's go down to our table. So here we have our first name, last name, ESL, and so on. I would like to add in the level here. Excuse me, pardon me. So we're going to change that one over to use our blended data instead. So let's go to remove the original source. Terribly sorry. And add the blended data. Excuse me. Click on data source and change it to your demo plus assessment. Once you've done that, Now you've got your data, and notice it gives you all these really annoying invalid dimensions. That's because we've changed the names of things and included some fields and not others. So let's just clean that up by removing them. Oftentimes you think you have more trouble with your fields than you do. So let's go in and just grab the first name, the last name, and the level. And let's remove that invalid sort, and we're going to sort on just last name. Okay. So now you can see that Mary Washington exceeded on her math assessment, and you can get an idea of what's going on there. So right now we've combined the demographic information plus the assessment information, and you can do that with multiple blends. So let's say that's not enough. I also want to see the ELA level. So let's first change this one so we know what that is. That's math underscore level. Remember me and my underscores, we didn't actually need it there. Bad habits. And now let's go back to our data sources. Close that one, that's our fields. We're going to go to, data sources right here, manage added data sources. And we've got math assessment and demographics assessment. So now we want to add ELA. So we go here, remember the process. We're going to find our Google Sheets choice right here, select it. Again, one spreadsheet, and this time we're going to create a data source for ELA. We're going to give it a name, ELA underscore assessments, and we're going to connect that to our report, and we're going to add it to the report, and now we could use that as well. What I want to do though is make that available in my blend. So let's edit the data source, that is our blend, and we're going to add one more data source. So now we're going to add ELA assessments. And remember, we're going to join on the user ID, and then we're going to look at ELA level. So you get the idea of how you could put multiple blends together. There is a limit to the number of blends here, and in this case, we're just doing a 1-to-1-to-1. In other words, there's one record for each student on each of these tabs of the spreadsheet. I'm going to hit save. Close out of here. And now you see math level. Well, let's add in our ELA level. Okay, and now you can see how the student did on that as well. Let's clean this up a little bit before we leave. This was supposed to be, let's get rid of that. So sometimes your data can look very messy for a period of time while you're kind of adjusting it. Don't worry about that. It just takes time. So we're going to do a little count distinct. Get that back to what it was before. Let's see. I actually wanted the user ID there, count distinct. Sorry. Let's get rid of that one and change that to count distinct. So what I'm doing here is getting back to what I originally had, which was a grouping of grades by students. Okay, so now you can see you have your grades. Let's sort that again in the right order. It always wants to assume certain things that you may not want. So there's our grade levels in ascending order. Okay, so here's our grade levels, and here's our students with their joined data from their assessment. And if I want to now, remember, we can click. Let's take a look in our view mode. Let's look at our 9th grade data and see how our 9th graders did. And right now we are just looking at the 9th graders. So a great way to combine various fields and data sources together is using a blend. So I'm going to reset that action, and you get the idea of how it works. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and we'll be continuing. Thank you.